I don't want to ever hear shit about my Democratic plantation and they're brainwashed by the Democrats ever again. When you saying stupid shit like this, when you're defending a judge using the hard R, clearly showing a bias, this has control over people's lives, and you're defending this shit. Okay, originally I actually didn't want to talk about this because I just saw it and I was like, alright, racist judge, no surprise there. Yeah, she should just get fired and I'll leave it alone. I wanted to see if she would get fired first if I was going to make something about this. But, of course, because the right is really dumb, you have those on the right. Well, first I thought they weren't going to cover it, to be honest. But then you had to have the clowns come in and defend this woman not getting fired. So, she's actually not getting fired. She's taking an unpaid leave and resisting getting fired. And the right some on the right are defending her. Like ABL. And we have to look at the comments later because that is amazing. And I can't believe, after reading the comments, I have to use this clip again.
I thought there was a difference between nigger and nigga. I thought I understood this whole thing, but I guess I don't. I need help.
Because I was like, if the right just jumps in front of this and go, yeah, she should be fired. Because this is clearly not an impartial judge. They couldn't do it. They had an easy slam dunk where they could have just went, yo, fuck this judge. And they couldn't do it because they are I don't know what's wrong with y'all. This is not hard. Y'all the ones who are complaining that this systemic racism or racism in the system is a myth. Or you'll have the clowns like fucking Matt Walsh who will go around and saying it's a benefit to be black in the criminal justice system. And then they won't cover this story. Interesting. Not to mention, someone like him has the stats on everything until he makes that claim, then he doesn't. Surprisingly. Anyway, I gotta show you the raw video first. And then I specifically chose New York Post because I want to see how the right frames this. Alright, and New York Post does a pretty good job. Because, like, I already know how the left's gonna frame it. So I don't even need to check in with them. Alright, so we'll start with the unedited video, or the uncensored video. Then I'll show you the right frames it. Then I'll show you how ABL's clown ass defends this shit. And then I gotta show you how his stands get even worse and defend it more. And it amazes me. I just have to show you.
Oh, shit. Mom goes, why are the lights to your
When I pull up in the whip, they be saying, God damn.
Like, why are your lights on? They're like, pull up.
And mom's yelling, nigger! Nigger!
Kid, we have a nigger. It's a nigger. Like a roach.
Look, that's me.
No, that's
I came from the backside.
Look, he trips over the
He tripped twice. He tripped twice.
I was the only one running.
That's me. Kenny was standing. I'm the one that took him down. Kenny's just standing there.
He lied.
That was his wallet.
Yeah.
That's my phone where it fell out.
Look, Mom. The dude had a phone on him. You should have taken his phone and stolen from him, that fucking asshole.
And now I'm going to have a gun.
Go and get the gun.
It's important. Very important.
As me and Austin maintain control of the situation.
The good thing is we've got video. We've got Look, they're with the car. Wait, look. There's
And look, here comes Rebel.
Want to play fetch? Rebel is with my sister's.
Okay. So there you go. That's the unedited version. Now, I've already seen this ridiculous argument that she was just robbed, and so of course she reacted that way. And first of all, this is way after this happened. Okay. Her son seems to say it with no problem, and they're laughing about it. Where she continues on to say it more after, which shows me this is a pattern of behavior. This is not a one-off instance. And I have been in worse situations like this, and my mind never went to racial slurs. So I don't know what's going on with y'all. Right? I got a gun to the head before, and I remember I got pissed. And my friend sitting there trying to calm me down, but my mind never went to, yo, fuck this hard R. My mind didn't go there. I've gotten super mad at some of my friends. And I've gotten super mad at some strangers. I've had some threaten me before. And my mind never went here. So the fact that your knee-jerk reaction is to go to slurs tells me something about your biases. And tells me that a judge like this cannot be impartial. So, I'm going to show you. I'm going to show you how a right-wing outlet, New York Post, frames this. And I think they actually did a decent job. That the reason I'm not going to left-wing source is, one, for time, and two, I already know how they're going to frame it, and I think you know how they're going to frame it too. Okay? Although I don't think you can really frame this dishonestly. I just want to show you how it's covered. So, Louisiana judge will temporarily step down from the bench after she was caught on video dropping the N-word and calling an alleged black burglar a roach, according to her attorney. So, Michelle Ornette, or Audinette, is resisting calls to resign, but agreed to take a period of leave without pay. Again, do you think that is a good look? Because keep in mind, she is a Republican, and Republicans not saying, yo, fuck this bitch. How do you think that looks for you? Okay. After a home video surfaced Monday showing her family watching a home video of a foiled car burglary in the driveway. Then it goes over right here what we already just saw in the video, so I'm going to jump ahead, and what she said, which we already just saw. Judge said the incident shook her to the core, leaving her unable to sleep. She also claimed she had taken a sedative prior to the recording of the footage. She didn't sound very sedated to me. Now, if you want to say she was high as shit on the sedatives, I've seen people high on sedatives. I've had to take them in the past, and my mind never went there or saying things I didn't mean. So, miss me with that excuse. No. I have zero recollection of the video. Nice to avoid accountability. The disturbing language used during it. Anyone who knows me and my husband knows this is contrary to the way we live our lives. Really, because your son and you seem to say it, just rolling off the tongue, right? You know those people who, you know, will say nigga quite a bit? It kind of rolls off the tongue for them, opposed to someone who doesn't say it very much. It sounds awkward when they say it. Yeah. You've used this word before behind closed doors. Don't lie. That was way too smooth. I am deeply sorry and ask for your forgiveness and understanding as my family and I deal with the emotional aftermath of this armed burglary. Okay. So, she's asking for an apology after she refused accountability. So, which is it? Because you don't apologize unless you know you did something wrong. But at the same time, you're avoiding accountability. Interesting. And now I'm going to jump over to what ABL says, because it goes over what the city marshal says. And he says it in the video, so I'm just going to skip this part. Now, I'm going to jump to the insane part because it's a long video, don't have time for it. But if you want to watch it in the entirety to think I'm taking anything out of context, although I don't see how you think I could, but you got the title and everything, you can go look for yourself.
And it was very difficult for Lafayette City Marshal Reggie Thomas, who works to protect the judge every day.
When you go to court and you know somebody has said those type of words, you cannot be comfortable in court thinking that somebody is going to treat you correctly.
Absolutely.
But let's put it in context, though. You're not giving the whole thing. Like, I understand. Like, I don't use racial slurs myself. That's just me, though. But let's talk about what the person did in the tape that caused the reaction. That, like, we're not gonna talk about that. I could see if she was talking about you in a tape just for no reason, calling you the N-word, then I'd be right there with you. I'd be like, she got to go because that's a racist person. Just unprompted using words like that. But a burglary suspect,
that is not the point. Do you notice how he completely missed his point, like, for real? He's pointing out how when somebody jumps to this, how can you say they're impartial? Because clearly they have a bias if their mind jumps to that, right? If it was just the robbery and she didn't say this, I would also be saying fuck that. Actually, I'm already saying fuck that guy because you shouldn't rob people, okay? Don't rob people. But the point is that she is a judge, someone who has position of power in the system, who is clearly doesn't like black people, Which, how can you say you're going to get a fair trial from this woman? People like ABL, I don't know if this would ever get to him with my audience of 3 people. But if it ever did, do you think people call you a raccoon because you're a black conservative? Or do you think they call you that because you say shit like this? Is it? I'm going to tell you right now, my answer to the question. It's because you defend shit like this. So don't be surprised when your own look at you and start popping off at you with that. Okay?
And you caught the guy right there on the, I mean, come on. Black folks.
Also, I'd like to add on top of it, she's saying this after the situation is over and they're laughing about it, repeating the word. Which tells me again, this is a pattern of behavior and she was clearly comfortable using it because after the fact, she's saying it again. You have to keep in mind, she's saying this again with no problems.
Will say much worse about him if he was burglarizing their home or their car or home invading or something like that. And like,
you don't know that. I like how he's just adding in all this context that wasn't there. Oh, I know he would have said what? You don't this. How do you know he would jump to racial slurs? You don't even know who this dude is. Again, fuck this dude for robbing people. But do you see how he adds context to try to explain for this judge?
Like I said, if the person was to go inside the crib, they can get shot, killed, and it wouldn't even be a court case. So I'm not really this whole I'm hurt type thing. I'm not really buying too tough.
Because if he broke into the house and got shot, that's the end of it. She's 100% the victim. Again, he's leaving out the context. This is a judge with a clear bias against us. Okay? He's missing that. Or, like I said, like ABL, he's not smart. Okay? He's not a very smart person. So I'm not sure if he's legitimately trying to leave out or change context, or if he's just that unintelligent.
Personally.
So this is a problem. This is a major problem.
City Marshal Reggie Thomas is the first African-American elected in a citywide seat in Lafayette. When he heard about the video circulating online and thought he heard racial slurs from Judge Odenay's mouth, it hurt him.
A weak apology will not suffice.
When called about the video, Judge Odenay emailed us a statement. She said, "The incident shook me to my core."
All right. Quick jump, because we've already read the statement, so moving on.
I deal with this emotional aftermath of this armed burglary. As the report spread, so is the outcry. The Lafayette NAACP president asked for Judge Odenay's resignation, even that her decisions concerning people of color be rescinded.
Come on.
No, rescinded is one thing, but definitely reviewed. Absolutely. I'm actually not sure. I have to check if you can, if there can be a mistrial because of prejudice after the fact. I'm not sure if you can. I think you can appeal that, but yeah, I think you could off of this. And don't blame don't blame your stupid woke shit. That's the justice system. Blame her dumbass for clearly being a racist and then going into these positions of power. That's the problem.
Like that ain't gonna happen. That's not gonna happen. Like what I want to see is, you know, how some of these people have been sentenced down there. Because I know one thing I was watching a while back. I'm not sure if it's the same thing in Lafayette, but in New Orleans, you got these guys that go through a revolving door of shooting and killing people because if there's not enough evidence to keep you in jail for like 90 days.
Again, what does this have to do with anything? Look at all this splaining.
I forget the way it is. Basically, if there's no witnesses that come forward or there's not enough evidence 90 days, you get released. It could be a murder case or whatever. Okay. And these guys were going down to Houston, Texas after the hurricane back in 2005, you know, committing murders and stuff like that.
What does this have to do with anything? Now, I jump ahead a little bit because, again, I just wanted to show you half of that because, again, look at all this splaining. This has nothing to do with anything. Well, I want to show you the conclusion, too. Because, again, he just keeps digging this hole. It's amazing.
To the burglary and recording, some just can't accept nothing being done about it.
True character is shown in the worst of times. We
Absolutely. This is the point I'm making.
could talk about apologies We could talk about resignations, but I think what we have to talk about is accountability. Don't make excuses for something you did.
Man, oh man.
What did he say that was wrong? Remember, this is a man who is there to defend this judge. Why would you attack him? This is dumb. Like, how am I supposed to trust someone above me if they're calling me the hard R, right, behind my back or in private?
Okay. Here's my closing thoughts on the whole situation. I don't use racial slurs. I don't advocate anybody do it. I'm not in favor of that at all. I'm all about respect. Respect me, I respect you. But then when you break in my house or you break in my car, it's like, at that point, what happens? Are you still owed the same respect? Are you still owed the same?
Again, he's missing the argument again about the judge. You know, there's someone being in a system, in a position of power, in an already corrupt system. Okay, he keeps trying to reframe it. All right, as, oh no, she was stressed. Again, this video is after all this happened, and she's reiterating what she already said. If she really had a problem with the slur, she would have said like N-word or something the second time, right? But she didn't. So that tells you something about this judge's character that he's intentionally leaving out. And so I don't want to fucking hear one more time from you white ignorants that the reason Republicans don't get the black vote is because of my Democratic plantation, okay? When you say shit like this, are you surprised black people look at shit like this and assume that, like, other black conservatives are tap dancers? Or think they're going to vote for you when you say stupid shit like this?
Decency and courtesy that I extend to everyone else? Is that what's going on? Again, if you come into my crib and cross that gun line, it might be a party in there. You know, a firecracker, fireworks, firearms party. I don't have any because, you know, traffic boating accident, it was terrible, kids crying. But I'm saying, I just don't really understand the outrage for this criminal.
Because that's not, the outrage is, again, somebody in the system of power, or in a position of power in a corrupt system, showing their true colors. No one's trying to defend the criminal. Nobody's doing that. He is adding that context in.
I think it's more just about people being sensitive about words being used and, oh, well, if she said that right then what did she normally say, all this and that? I think
Yeah. That's a totally valid question.
It's just kind of overblown. I'm not in favor of any kind of racial slurs or any kind of curse words, really. But I'm not going to say that somebody needs to get fired for that. I think that's a little bit overboard. If you're going to do a review, honestly.
Because this is a judge. This is what I don't... God. Okay, I have to move on for time, but this is why, again, black people can't stand Republicans. It's stuff like this. Okay? And let me go to the comments, because, oh my god, the white ignorance all came out and made this 100 times worse. And again, I gotta say to people like your ABLs, right? And your Tim Pools out there, when I show you their comments and their top comments have a very interesting ideas at the top, do you think if you were attracting those people as your top comments, you would start to reevaluate your rhetoric and try and think, what am I saying that's attracting these people? Just a pattern I'm noticing, that you think you would re-examine your rhetoric if these are the people you can see are coming around you and what you're saying that's attracting them. Oh, so let's go to the ignorant ass comments, right? Whether she is a judge or a garbage picker, she has all the right in the world to say whatever words in her own home. I would be worried about the person who would pose for a minute or two as a saintly person to judge someone else. Nobody was arguing you don't have the right to say what you want in your own home. But if that gets out, again, and in this context, yeah, you need to be held accountable. What is with this, the idea on the right that I always never understood some of these people on the right who complain about not being able to say nigga with the 8 or the hard R. I'm like, You can say it. You're free to say it. Now, the consequences after, I'm not held responsible for that. Right? But no one's stopping you, but I have to question you. Why do you want to say it? If you're singing a song, that's one thing, or you're quoting somebody, I don't really care, to be honest. Or maybe something like in the context of like Sargon when he was making fun of the neo-Nazis by throwing their own words back at them. Yo, in that context, I don't care. But I have to question why you want to say it so bad, right? Reminding folks she did speak in her private home, and how it ended up outside is scary to wonder, and everyone has said things that are not classy in their own homes. Do you see what he did right here? He just snitched on himself. We all know that judging those people have all used racial slurs themselves, either in private or public, if not in their minds. Judge not lest you be judged applies to everyone. Who in this current time is perfect? This dude just snitched on himself. Right? He was like, who hasn't used racial slurs in their own home? I don't. The only time I've done it is when I'm impersonating like a white ignat making fun of them. Right? But that's like a George Carlin type context, which again, I don't mind. That's fine. She's using it in a hateful context. That is completely different. And good job, person. You just snitched on yourself. Here we go. Here's a common one I'm seeing. So the focus was what was on she said, specifically a word she used, and not the burglary. Pretty soon we are going to get to the point where someone kidnaps someone and torture them, and when the police finally rescue that person, the badge cam captured the victim using a racial slur. Now all of a sudden, the victim is evil, big, bad villain, not the perpetrator. That is not the argument again. You missed the point, you dumbass right-wing ignat. The point was, again, this is someone in a position of power over people's lives. And again, given the context, this was after what had happened. Right? Why would you feel the need to say it again after everything is said and done? Again, makes you think. If this cop is so triggered over a word, then I wouldn't want him protecting me in the first place. I love that these are the same fucking ignats. I'm sorry, this is getting me mad. These are the same fucking ignats that are complaining over Hassan Piker using cracker. Cracker ain't even a fucking racial slur. Cracker refers to a racist white person, which I have used that word in the past against white liberals.
Leave it to a cracker.
And I guarantee you, nobody on the right would have batted an eye when I called fucking white liberals crackers. Because they were telling me that I'm a race traitor, some white boy calling me a race traitor because I said fuck the Democrats, they're a bunch of racists too, that hate us. But now you want to go after this cop, who is using, again, a racial slur, which I love the right's ignoring the history of that word again. This is someone he protects with his life. He has to, with his life if he has to. And she's showing what she thinks about his people. Because I guarantee you, these right-wing ignats who say this shit, these are the ones who have these fucking noodly arms. Have you ever seen a swole racist outside of prison? Because I haven't. Y'all would be crying to him in 2 fucking seconds if your ass got held up. I guarantee you. We used to have free speech in this country whereby inappropriate language was just morally wrong and not legal. You can be fired for being morally wrong. You understand this, right? No one's saying it's just illegal. They're saying she should be resigned because she has a clear bias, again, over people's lives. Why are you white ignats defending this? Why? What is the strategy, right? You're the ones who are like, the left's calling us racist. They're the real racists. Well, okay. Then why are you giving them free ammo? Why are you so dumb? You're gonna give him this free fucking ammo. I guarantee you, if she was a Democrat, if this was a Democrat judge, every fucking right-wing ignorant channel would be covering this and saying Democrats are the real racists. I guarantee you, and this is why this shit's pissing me off now. You robbed my house, I'm using a slug, not a slur. Yeah, I probably would too. I'm not a psychologist, but I think that maybe her using the word in that specific context could be indicative of something deeper. Like, oh, I'll call this person a hard R when they break into the house because breaking into the house is what the hard R does. But maybe like she claims she was stoned to death and was acting like a dumb teenager essentially, which is a far cry from actually being a hateful racist person. It's kind of a tough one. You were almost there. You had me at the first half, but then you lost me at the second half. It's not a tough one, bro. Almost there. You almost got it. Here's another one of my favorites. Something that has been common folk for decades is that there's a difference between a black person and a insert slur. not all black people are the hard R. Okay, if you're referring to the Chris Rock joke of I love black people but I hate niggas, I don't think you understand the joke. Okay? And he didn't use the hard R, bro. I don't think you understand the context of the joke. I don't know if I can rock with this one, big dog. We rock together on most topics, but not this one. I'd expect that kind of character from some entitled house mom, but not a court judge. I don't think she should be fired or something that had to be done. Or I don't think she should be fired, but something has to be done. Thank you. Okay, there's some reasonable people here. Unfortunately, they're way further down than the ignorants. Oh, and then my favorite response, I love this one. Something has to be done with all the blacks using the same. What though? We don't use the hard R. Black people don't use the hard R, you dumbass white ignorant. I'm seeing this everywhere where it's like, black people use it all the time. These tell me you've never been around black people, right? And then you watch people like ABL and Tatum, who betray us in this certain light, like we're all a bunch of ratchety-ass hood niggas. And eventually, you're going to run into the black person, and you're going to say some stupid shit that they said. And then you're going to get the smoke and be all fucking shocked, right? We don't use the hard R. Okay? If a black person uses the hard R against another black person, we don't see that much of a difference. I hope you realize this, right? Imagine being in your own home and not being able to say what you want. Again, you're kind of snitching on yourself, bro. Again, this is one of the higher up comments. And ABL, what in your rhetoric is attracting these people? That's what we have to ask ourselves. Until every rapper's fired, no one should ever use their job for saying it. Alright, I'm done with these ignorants. I ain't gonna go over again, we don't use the hard R, but again, I don't want to ever hear shit about my Democratic plantation and they're brainwashed by the Democrats ever again. When you saying stupid shit like this, when you're defending a judge using the hard R, clearly showing a bias, this has control over people's lives, and you're defending this shit. So miss me with this stupid shit, okay? I'm sorry. You right-wing ignorants have to go, because at this point, I'm willing to go back to 90s Republicans over this shit. The moral authoritarian crybaby fucking Republicans. I will take that over the shit we're in right now at this point, okay? Because this is fucking pathetic. Alright? And I don't even want to talk about this story. Because I thought it was going to be open and shut, but y'all just had to fucking be stupid. Y'all had to say some stupid shit. Couldn't just let it be, let her get fired. Nah. But you want to lose the black vote? Be my guest. Be my guest, but no crying that the Democrats cheated when they whoop your ass again. Okay?